Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. We'll try and do this to get 10-15 minutes. Let's make sure YouTube is working. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to... That's good. All right, so welcome back to the Frivolity. It is, of course, Monday, 16th of September. I think we can make the argument we are back into the sort of professionals markets. We saw just a massive movement away from the growth, the unicorn names, and into value. And actually, we had a really cool presentation by Jamie out of the UK. Once every 2 weeks, he comes on and does a fundamental macro analysis view of the world. So really great content today. And Jamie showed us a number of different illustrations showing that. I might put that chart together for tomorrow, maybe your daily brief recap for that. But for today, I put together this chart deck and just some interesting ideas that have jumped out at us through today's conversation. And of course, what we're sort of watching for through the week. We did have a ECB event last week. We talked lots about the shenanigans around that event and how the market for the euro behaved through that, just all over the map. Really good lesson on why you should square your positions heading into those big fundamental events. It's interesting to see on Friday, U.S. dollars just getting its butt kicked. Everybody was selling U.S. dollars right across the board. I don't know whether people knew of things coming down the pike. We'll talk about it in a minute, but it's interesting to see how the U.S. dollars jumped right back up here against candle body highs on the daily chart. And if anything, if I was going to be hunting shorts, I love the idea of hunting shorts against this candle body high. That was that failure there, this one here, that one there. So we're definitely in an area where I could consider shorting. The only problem, of course, is that we have FOMC here coming up midweek. So I think on balance, I'm just going to be leaving the currencies alone until that event's out of the way, and we'll see what happens. You could make the argument, higher highs and higher lows. We just keep printing higher lows here. Did have a little bit of an M come in on that Friday failure, but as I said, market quickly took that back. And of course, if we surge up to new highs here, then that's just going to be an affirmation that the weekly trend continues pressing higher. So it's kind of sitting on the fence. Now, why would the U.S. dollar jump up here? Well, clearly we had a massive macro event happen in the world in that Saudi Arabia's neighbors, of course, they've got an ongoing civil war there in Yemen. Are they being backed by the Iranians? Tough to say. I think the jury's still out at the moment on that, but there was a fairly large attack on Saudi Arabia oil facilities over the weekend. And as a result, crude oil's jumped violently higher here. It was interesting through the daily brief. We went through all the oil stocks, and you probably heard me squawking in this broadcast that I really wanted to get long oil. I got a funny feeling maybe somebody knew something there in oil land, but all of the stocks, they all jumped and gapped higher on the open here this morning. So there's no reason why we can touch them now. The only reason why I have this on the screen here, of course, it's obviously noteworthy. It's a big driver in the market today. But you've heard me talk lots in recent about how oil and gold generally can't move in the same direction. And notice the oil market launched itself higher here this morning. You can see these very wide W's now coming in the oil market. That's not going to help the gold market, and as a result, you can see, yes, the gold price is up a hair here this morning, but just definitely floundering here in the gold market. And, if anything, I want to have gold work its way up against these highs so I can seriously hunt shorts. Right now, I'm just frozen out. Let's see what happens to this oil market. I know there are certain politicians that would absolutely love to have an excuse to go after, and start a war in the Middle East with Iran. But, just on balance, we might be having bullish bots actually start fire here, projecting up in sort of the $70, $75 area for crude going forward. And as I've sort of talked about at length, if I wanted to be a buyer of gold, I actually think I would prefer that we somehow work our way back down into trendline support. And you can see this gold market's still looking very, very risky. So now we've got oil sort of validating that sort of gold and oil can't move in the same direction. If oil's taken off here, that's going to be a little bit more of a drag on the metals markets. How is that whole oil situation in Saudi Arabia playing itself out in the stock market? You've probably heard me recently talking about how I am looking for a some sort of cycle pivot around the 25th of September. I put myself on a very slow put option buying program. And interestingly enough, I bought one put here, another put on Thursday, and ironically enough, with this down move in the market, basically the market's sitting right at my purchase price for my average. I still have two more to go to buy, so I still got a lot more work to do there. Could we press higher here in the stock market? Sure. Keep in mind, we do have Fed coming out here midweek, so I wouldn't be surprised if everything's sort of on pause here. But I wanted to note that not only on the spiders, the ETF, you see how it gapped lower here this morning. Gaps like to be filled in, so odds are we're probably going to have to go back and fill that in at some point. Notice that the futures themselves, they also gapped lower, and futures markets hate to have gaps left open. So once again, I definitely feel comfortable that at some point down the road we are going to have to come back up here and fill in this gap. No real outright sell signals per se here on the futures. We did tick higher, so there's no inside bar. Was a little bit of an inside bar failure here on the ETF this morning. We'll see how the coming days progress, but I really think this is probably more a case of what the market feels like the Fed's going to do. And what this sort of message from the Fed is. Do they think the economy is still expanding? Do they think the economy is contracting? All that kind of conversation. So keep your eyes peeled, and that's just a quick update on what I'm seeing out of Stockland here for you. Of course, TRI loves to toot its own horn, especially when we have nice big winners. I am a big fan of selling half a position on a double. Get yourself a quote-unquote risk-free position. I put out tweets to that effect here this morning. Just rinse and repeat. Of course, lots of people watch me do this in altcoin land through its crazy-ass bull market. And now I'm finding that I'm actually doing quite a bit of this in the stock market. I'm having lots of fun in the stock market. So you can see we bought the weekly W, sell half on a double. Now I've got a risk-free trade. I'm laughing. I'll probably just throw that stock into like my registered account and just forget about it. And just see what happens. But nice to see a win is a win is a win. Also, too, this is a really good commentary on why you should work open orders at your levels. As you can see, if I woke up now and was like, oh, why, I'm supposed to sell half on a double, well, you're SOL. This thing might just spend the next month or two working its way back down and filling in all these gaps. So really good lesson in why you got to have your open orders working. Heading over to crypto, some interesting developments here. I was tweeting out comments like bull-bear battle lines were being drawn in the crypto space, and quite often I see that, the market will just sort of set up a very polite range. If we break either one of these ranges, either this is a fractal bottom, up we go, or a fractal top, down we go. Well, what's fascinating about this is you have to wait for either one level or the other level to be taken out. And, through the weekend, and poor old crypto kids, they said they fondly remember the days when these things used to pump through the weekend. It looked to me like basically Wall Street's running this show right now. Wall Street is on weekend hiatus, and so this thing's given permission to do absolutely nothing. And so basically we just went sideways. And I even said, you got to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And unfortunately, coming out of the gate first thing Monday morning, lots of double top failures. In fact, this is a triple top on the OK coin following that new contract listing. Reload zones, what a big surprise. We stalled out in there. I was thinking, we could go either bullish or bearish bot. This could have, as you can see here, this was a potential bullish bot that just never came in. We had talked a little bit about how off of the lower time frames there were some interesting lows to work with, but off this daily chart, the bot level just didn't really set up very well. And then I loaded up the chart this morning, and of course, unfortunately, as you can see from this chart, we did resolve the bearish consolidation level here. So this now actually prints a fractal top, an inside bar failure here on this morning's action. And, on the site, we've been talking lots this morning about this bearish bot now. And I even tweeted this out this morning, watching that consolidation, who was going to win the war. And it looks like the bears won the war. We got one high, two highs, three highs. These are very crisp levels too, which is a little bit concerning because now, I think the bears have got some serious levels that they can use to try and defend this short. And look how politely the inside bar fail level 10,157, and look how politely the bot short level set up at 10,187. This happens to be on Coinbase. I've got my little bot trading plan on OKCoin. Didn't set up nearly as pretty as this on OKCoin, so I'm kind of frozen out on this trade right at the moment. But I'm going to keep a close eye on this, and if I can participate on that OKCoin exchange, I think I'm going to try and sneak in off this. So we'll let you know how that does going forward. And you can clearly see what this bearish bot is implying is a test of that original trend line that we've been talking about forever, back on the other side of it, and also a test of these key lows down here. So be mindful of that. That's I have a funny feeling for the next few days that's going to be dominating conversation for me. Now, the interesting thing is, and you can actually see she's just sitting right on that level right now. The interesting thing is that the altcoins seem to be perking up here a little bit. One name that I've been talking to you guys in the public about recently is this exchange-traded fund, the Grayscale Ethereum Classic Trust. It's interesting if you actually look at ETC itself. I think they're going through a hard fork right now. You could make the argument that this thing has come back down to the original double bottom level and is just sort of swimming around there. But there's such an interesting disconnect between sort of cash market prices and these exchange-traded funds. Now, keep in mind, this is over-the-counter. And, what a bitch. I actually... I've been talking to you guys in the public about this trade quite a bit recently, so I actually felt like I would actually be extremely irresponsible if I didn't take this setup when it came in. It did come in, and you can see the breakout level there is 1221, and there's that high there, 1221. And it was just sitting right there at 1221 this morning. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll go and strap on a small position just because I said I was going to. And then my broker announced very politely that, oh, I'm sorry, residents in your province are prohibited from trading on this exchange. What? So I can't take this trade. I've been frozen out by my good old Canadian Big Brother regulators. So Kevin actually has got an account down in the States, and he said he'd be more than happy to go and buy this for me, but I guess I'm just going to have to let this trade pass. I've already got a whack of ETC on the books on Trex accounts and Binance and all those kind of accounts, so I don't necessarily need to add on those accounts. I just wanted to throw some into my stock account because that's a pretty good looking little double bottom there. There's an interesting commentary. I do understand that they've got a hard fork coming up. Maybe people are buying this so that they can get some of the hard fork coins. It's basically like free coins. I don't know, but you can see the W. It's there. Let's see what happens. My hunch is we're probably going to jump up and fill in these gaps up top. That's usually what happens with these things. But, again, this isn't financial advice. This is what I would be doing with my money, and I've missed the trade now because my Canadian broker told me to go to hell. Boo! Anyway, there it is. Now, some other people mentioned things like ZEC, if I'm not mistaken, is trying to bottom. I don't know what it looks like in the US dollar terms, but we can go take a look. Let's see. All right, well, you can see the W is trying to come in here. Obviously this isn't ETC. Caveat emptor. I don't like the fact that this thing looks like it's traded to a new low here. And keep in mind, these are, all these exchanges are different. If I look at ZEC, let's see if we look at it versus Kraken. Let's see if that double bottom was broken. We got a low there, 43.75. Yeah, looks like that's the low. So over here we got 43.62. Uh-oh, be careful here, people. I don't know whether this is an actual valid W yet or not, because this low went to a lower low. So maybe we wait for the W. I notice there's a cheeky little gap right down here. Maybe we wait for the W to be filled in. Look at this big old gaps. And of course wicks and tails like to be eaten. Maybe even hunt, see if you can sneak in if you're interested in this name off of that level. But it's encouraging to see that we actually do have a little bit of uppy in the altcoin market. So I got a funny feeling we're closer to the bottom than the top there. And as I sort of showed you there a moment ago, I find it fascinating that things like this ETC on the OTC market is actually putting in a double bottom and breaking out. So, there's something for you to consider. Relatively small risk window, quite a bit of upside potential here. You can see where the old highs are. Even a gap here at 19 is going to give you a nice 50% return on your money. So, something for you to consider. And unfortunately, I would take this trade. I basically placed the order, but my brokerage house told me, sorry, you cannot participate. So, an update there for you in crypto land, an idea to maybe mull over. Looks like the market's trying to do something on this exchange traded fund. Okay, I think we'll leave the summary at that for today. Hope you got some good value out of this. All the best, and bye for now.